Hello, everybody. I think I'm all connected with everything. Should be fine. Just checking on my monitor to see. And let's just see that they can hear us. Hello, everybody. Yes. Okay, that works. Yay, that works. Good. Because I had a little trouble half an hour ago that's put me in a really pissy mood. But anyway,
sure.
Oh, bite me. Walter took me out for a walk. Damn near killed
you
me.
wanted to go for a walk, which is unusual.
Yeah, well, now I remember why it's so unusual. Pull my groin muscle, hurt my legs, drag me all over town. Yeah, Mister, I'm as fit as a fiddle over here, with a few strings missing, but whatever. As long as your G string's still intact. Okay, so anyways, welcome everybody. Let's see who's here. We've got Brenda Mitchell, first one on the list. Thanks for a wonderful sewing day. Well, you're welcome, Brenda. Dalmar is here from Northern California. Russ is here. Lewis is here. Greetings from somewhere near the Mayflower. Okay, I thought that sunk. But
is that a bar?
Yeah, is that a bar? Mayflower? In Plymouth? Barb is here. Charlotte's here. Ines is here. Hello from Newfoundland, Canada. Elsa's here. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Patsy Wilkinson is here. Suzanne. Jeannie's here. Faith is here. Sherry. Teresa. Donna. Glenna Miller's here from beautiful O'Fallon, Missouri. Melissa is here. Greetings to the dynamic duo of Stephen and Walter and everyone following. Wonder what she's drinking. Let's see. Karen is here. And already said hello to Patsy. A walk sounds exhausting to me. Yeah, pretty much. Sue's
we
here.
went 7 kilometers.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Sue is here. Good afternoon, Stephen and Walter and everyone else. Brenda's right. A great soda day. Glad you enjoyed it. Ingrid's here. Hi, Ingrid. So, yeah, and not one person has mentioned the fact that there's two important events this weekend on here. Now, I know you're excused because you're Americans, most of you, but the Canadians should have known. Elsa, Teresa, things like that. You guys should have known. Tomorrow's Canada Day. The Americans are probably too focused on their long weekend coming up with July the 4th. And even more so, today is Pride Day, and you can see I've got my Pride quilt hanging up there right behind Walter's head. That is the Progressive Pride flag. They changed the Pride flag. They've added more stripes, and apparently I'm out of date too because they've added a yellow circle in the center of that white and gray part at the top, and I'm not sure what it represents.
I did look it up, and then I was going to look it up before this show, but then I forgot.
I think it means intersex, but
yeah, I think it is too.
I think everybody's covered though, pretty much. Everybody and their dog is covered by this flag anymore. And I am not applicating a circle on this. It is what it is. Russ, did you ever get yours done? Because you're the reason I made this, Russ, because you had it first and put me onto it.
Yeah, it's intersex.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow and purple.
And do we know what intersex really is? Is that what we used to call hermaphrodite?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I don't understand why they should be included on the flag. I mean, because it's not like they're out parading or anything, because it happens in hundreds of thousands of births or something. So I don't know.
Who knows?
But everybody's in the flag.
Everybody's trying to. They should actually just say not straight. Everybody else.
Yeah, well, I wonder what the color is for allies, because for a few years they've been adding the A onto the LGBTQ to I don't know. I think they're trying to get every letter of the alphabet in that, and I think they're trying to get every color in this as well to represent some group.
It gets confusing.
I mean, why can't we just stick to a rainbow, a simple rainbow, because a rainbow has every color is in it. And even though they may only show the primary ones, and I shouldn't say primary because they're not all primary colors in it, but the basic ones, the red, the orange, the yellow, the blue, the purple, the green. But there's shades in there. And
I mean, it's just sort of like, I mean, a Canadian flag or an American flag or any kind of flag doesn't necessarily have like it
everything.
doesn't have like Canada's flag. He doesn't have all the provinces
Well, we
individually represented on the
no,
flag.
not with a color,
No, so like I
but
mean, it
every
just means,
province is
yeah,
represented by a point on the maple leaf.
Canada just means an area, right? So
Yeah.
like, why shouldn't
I don't
it
know.
just
It
be
just gets
a
crazy.
particular flag that involves everybody?
I think we should get rid of the term LGBTQ, blah, 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 and just call it rainbow. We're all under the rainbow. Rainbow encompasses everybody. The rainbow was originally picked as the symbol to represent hope, and the colors each represented one aspect of the characteristics of the LGBT community, not individual groups. I think like one stood for love, one stands for sexuality, one stands for something else. And I saw it just not too recently on something where they showed what each of the original colors were supposed to represent symbolically. But then they got crazy with it. I think it started with they added the black. Well, there's other flags too. That's the thing. Like the leather community has a flag. The bear community has a flag. The I even think the lesbians have their own flag too, or something. The transgenders flag, and all of that. Well, okay, but if you're trying to encompass all the variations on a theme here into one flag, it's never
Yeah,
gonna end.
well, anyway, that's what they've got now. So I guess that's it.
I don't know. And they call this one the progressive pride, and I don't know what because it's always changing. Maybe I have no idea. It's nuts. But anyways, it is Pride Day in Toronto right now. The parade is going on. And
we haven't gone the last few years. We used to go
no
on a regular basis, but then I think the last time we went there was when it was World Pride or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what year that was. That was at like 2016 or something like that. Or was that before?
It might have been even before then.
Yeah.
It might have been more like 2014 or something.
Yeah, because and the thing is, it gets so busy there.
It's crazy.
And you're walking over top of everybody. I know people that live downtown Toronto, and they don't even go.
Well, there are people we know that live downtown Toronto that usually go away on this weekend, like Bill and Mark, or go out on the boat kind of stay away because it's a zoo. They said this year the estimate was 3 million people.
And the last time we went, it was about a million people.
And that was bad. They were 10 rows deep all along the parade route, and the parade route is several kilometers long.
And it takes hours.
It takes hours for it to, like, their parade is probably still going on right now. They used to, I don't know what time they started.
They used to start at 2, I thought. And
well, you can bet it's still going on.
It's probably still going on.
It'll still be going on until 6 o'clock or later tonight. It just goes on and on and on. And then they have in the gay district, which is right adjacent to the downtown core of Toronto, that's usually the streets are blocked off down there for blocks and blocks for vendors, beer tents, you name it, shows, different show stages are set up along it, and that for many, many blocks. I mean, it is quite the thing, but you can't move. And if
you can't move, and you can't really drive into the city because there isn't a whole lot of places where you can find parking.
Yeah, you're not going to find parking in that area.
And I mean, the last time we went, we got a hotel room, but we got it way in advance. Yeah. And we trained it in. So
yeah, and some years we've stayed with our friends that live right in the heart of the gay district. They have a condo. And we've stayed at their place and gone out so we could park their car in their condo complex, and that worked. But it's just a zoo. Toronto, on any given day of the week or weekends, it doesn't matter. There is always something going on in Toronto. It's a big city. You know, that's what they do. But the trouble with things going on in Toronto, they're always centered in the core of the city. There isn't any parking. There's traffic. There is traffic, or not traffic, but construction constant construction. So one day this street's open, next day it's closed, and trying to get around it's impossible. Public transportation sucks in Toronto. The subway system is just a disaster. Half the time, parts of it are closed because they're doing maintenance. And the GO train, which is a commuter train that comes out to our area out here, takes, if you hit the Milk Run train, takes a good hour or longer to get into the city downtown, and it's not completely reliable, more reliable than the subway. But then when you get downtown, you're either going to have to hoof it up to the center of town from Union Station, which isn't a long walk, or take the subway. And as I said, the subway isn't cooperating, or a bus or a streetcar. And Toronto is a broken city. It's just a mess. So that's why we don't go anymore. It's just too much of a zoo. It used to be fun when we were younger and it was smaller. Very first one we ever went to was what, 1984?
Something like, no, it was
or 86.
Yeah, I think it was about 86, and there was only like 75 people watching.
And the parade was 1 block long.
Yeah, it was 1 block long.
Yep.
And maybe took 10, 15 minutes to go by.
Yeah, if that was it. Yeah, on it all. And that was it. Kind of
that was
those days.
Before corporate sponsorship.
Yeah, and everything like that.
Stuff, so.
Yeah, so anyways, that's why we're not downtown Toronto at Pride Day. Of course, then
we have to do our live today, so.
Well, yeah, but then of course you said today, oh, maybe we should have gone downtown. Oh. And if we had fought that and did that and put this on hold and didn't do it, and I know what would happen. 2 minutes after we got down there, we'd be looking at each other and go, who's the idiot that thought this was a good idea? And I'd be pointing at you with it. So anyways, what are people saying?
The parade normally goes all the way down Yonge.
Yeah. Backing up here a little bit. Grant's here. He says hi. Heather's here. Teresa says happy Canada Day, happy Pride. Barb says happy Pride and Canada Day. Sue says, oh, happy Canada Day, Pride Day and Independence Day. Yep. Yeah, happy 4th of July for those of you, because that actually happens in the middle of next week, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know if
that's that would be Thursday, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if in the States, technically here in Canada, now tomorrow is July the 1st, so that's Canada Day. But this year it fell on a Monday, so that makes this a long weekend. But if Canada Day does not fall on a Monday or a Friday, Canada Day is supposed to be celebrated on the day of. In other words, you don't get a long weekend. But that's not completely true, because some people have something called a floating holiday. And a lot of businesses will let people take a long weekend, so the weekend that's closest to July the 1st with it. But according to government policy, July the 1st is Canada Day, and that's a statutory holiday on the day that it falls on. So this year it happens to coincide with the weekend, so it becomes a long weekend. So I don't know if that's the same thing in the States or not. Karen's here, and Russ says, mine's still not quite done. Oops. Oh, Russ, I beat you. Charlotte's here. Evelyn's here. Lydia's here.
Well, Russ, you can add the purple circle.
Yeah, it's not purple. I think it's yellow, isn't it?
No, there's it's a purple circle. It's yellow background and a purple circle.
Oh, they changed the V.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not white and gray.
Yeah.
Now, jeez, can't keep up. Well, I'm not changing it. Patsy's here. Del Marie. Yeah. Colleen. Hi, Colleen.
It's
Jackie.
Is it? Can't see it on here because I read it bigger. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. So it is yellow. Okay.
Yellow and a purple circle.
Yeah. Make it complicated. Elsa's here. After the Indigenous protested celebrating Canada Day, I no longer enjoy celebrating the day. Yeah, I don't know. Why? Okay, that's another thing. Can't we just have a celebration without it being political. Now, this sounds ironic because basically Pride started as a political protest, and it still is to a certain degree, but it's a very cheerful and happy one. And yeah, I get it with the Indigenous people. You were here first. But you know what I always say? And this may sound kind of crass, but what I say is, you want your land back? Give us back the beads. That's what we paid for. We want the beads. Oh, what? You don't have the beads? Oh, I'm sorry. No,
yeah, well,
refund.
every country in the world has
Indigenous people.
Has had Indigenous people, and other people have moved into it. So that's always been, and that happened a long time ago. So.
Well, yeah. Okay, yes, true. You were robbed. Indigenous people were robbed. They were abused by the ones that came in here. But this is the history of the world, isn't it? There are the conquerors and the conquered. And that's what happened. I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing, but that's a 21st century point of view to look at it. In an 18th century point of view, actually in a 16th century point of view, when Champlain and Cartier, 15th century point of view, when Cartier came over here to the country, he looked at it and went, frozen, lots of trees. We'll claim it for France. Bingo, plant a flag. Some Indigenous person came out and went, excuse me, we were here first. This is our land. And they went, shoot, no, we're taking it. Bye-bye. Not the right thing to do, but that's what was done. It was a thing in those days. The Indigenous people lost. So what do they want now? They don't know what they want. I have yet to see them come up with their top 10 requests. And any requests they do have seem to be quite unreasonable. They want the current government to apologize for everything under the sun. They weren't there when this happened. It's not their fault. Yeah, I know. It's symbolic, all that. Well, the Pope came over, and the Indigenous people wanted an apology from the Pope for the residential schools, where they basically ripped the children out of the arms of their parents and put them into boarding schools and stripped them of their heritage and their language, didn't let them see their parents, and basically sexually abused them. Yeah, that's definitely a bad thing. And the Pope did apparently apologize, but I think it was sort of a passive-aggressive apology. Yeah, the Catholic Church is going to apologize. I don't think so. But then again, why do we care? I don't think the Indigenous people really care about the Pope. That's not their main level of spirituality. And as far as I'm concerned, the Pope is just a guy in a dress with a pointy hat. So I don't know. But they want this, but they don't clearly say what else we can do for them. In the infinite wisdom of the time, the Canadian government, and I'm talking many years ago, thought, okay, we'll put you on a reservation. You won't pay taxes, and you can do this. But they sort of neglected to say, yeah, but we're not going to supply you with fresh water that you can drink. We're not really going to help you much with housing, food, your economy, help you with jobs, anything like that. We're just going to stick you on this property, say it's yours, and go for it. But, if you want to continue to not pay taxes, you stay there. You come out, you get a job in the real world and whatnot. We're going to treat you like every other Canadian, kind of a thing. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Really, I don't think there should be a reservation system, but...
Well, I mean, then you should say you shouldn't celebrate Independence Day either, because the U.S. took over the land too, and they have...
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, they didn't all sit down at the first Thanksgiving.
Celebrate something...
Yeah, but, we can dwell on all the negative parts of this, but I think we need to focus more on the positive things in both our country and the United States. I mean, it is the birth of nations. For us, it was the birth of Canada. We broke away, not in as glorious a way as the Americans broke away from the English government, We just sort of, signed a few documents and said, bye bye. And in fact, we have not completely broken away. I mean, the Americans are completely unattached to the British. We still have a king. His face is about to be put on our money if he lives long enough for them to print it. I don't think it's coming out until 2026. That we're all sitting around just itching for that one. We still have lieutenant governor generals, and the ones for each province in the province and for the country as a whole, because the lieutenant governor general, supposedly any laws that are passed are not legal in this country unless the governor general, the queen, or the king's representative, got to get used to saying king's representative here in Canada, once he signed it, it means it's legal. Well, that's bollocks. Like, really? Does it matter? Not. I don't think King Charles is going to come around and go, oh, no, 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 I don't like that. He can't even do that in his own country. Constitutional monarchy, Something, a little thing that happened called the Civil War in England in the 1600s, Oliver Cromwell, a whole bunch of other people. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. We became a country. We're the second largest country in the world in terms of landmass. We're a great country. We have many, many natural resources. We have the most freshwater lakes in the world. We can produce hydroelectricity better than anywhere else in the world. Hello, Niagara Falls and others. We have massive amount of unexplored territory that's just ripe for the taking, but nobody wants it because, it's cold. We're a great country in many respects. So we should celebrate that. The United States, they think they're a great country, so they should still celebrate the illusion of it being, a great country. I am being facetious. Sorry, from our friends in the States, but you know what I'm talking about these days. Let's forget about the fact that both our countries are being led by idiots and just have a good time and party with it. And that's what pride is all about as well, if I dare make a connection. Canada, the United States, we're celebrating our independence from somebody who wanted to rule us and not in the manner we want it to be ruled at one point in history. Well, we celebrate pride as our liberation, our independence from the closet. That we're there, we're here, we're queer, and we're doing things. We are just as important members of society as anybody else. And actually, I wonder, it's going to be interesting to hear the news next day to see if there's been any protest groups out there or whatever, because there was a warning about that this year.
Yeah, there's more and more far-right people, fundamentalist type people are becoming more aggressive at pride events.
Yeah, like let's get the right fundamentalists out there with their signs that says, God hates fags. Well, you don't see people of the LGBT community running around with big posters saying Christians bite and are going to hell.
I remember years ago we went to a Pride Day and there was a guy in the middle of a huge crowd of Pride revelers standing on a big box, and it had he had a big sign with him that said, that you're all gonna burn in hell and blah 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 and all this other stuff, right? And a bunch of people were looking at him, and some were trying to argue with him, and some were just looked at him. Now, somebody were pointing out his spelling mistakes on his sign.
Yeah, well, he wasn't the most literate. Okay.
But nobody did anything. They
just looked at him, kind of laughed, moved on. So what makes these people think they can get into our face and tell us that, the right, the Christian right, there, they're not right, they're wrong.
It was almost like it was you know, initiation for some group
Yeah,
for him to, as a penance or
yeah,
whatever,
maybe.
to stand up to the gay pride.
I've got nothing against anybody stating what the, if asked, what their spiritual beliefs are. That is fine. If that makes you happy and it helps you get through this world, go for it. But don't think it's right for everybody else. You can discuss it with people and share your ideas. That's called conversation, that kind of thing. But don't force it down anybody's throat. And the gay world is not forcing the our supposed agenda. We've been told we have an agenda. I missed that one night of the meeting, I guess, when I didn't get the memo. But we do not have an agenda. But apparently, according to the right, we do. Our agenda is to recruit young people into our ranks. What is this? Nazi Germany? Like, okay, the pink shirts, you're over here. All right, here we go. With it. No. And we don't have a manual. Mind you, when you come out of the closet, you do get a toaster oven. So, yeah, and there are some that need to give those toaster ovens back. And some of you will know the reference that I'm doing, and some of you won't. So, look that up in your Funkin' Wagon. Look it up in your Google. But we don't have an agenda. We do have an agenda. We want to have all the same rights and privileges as anybody else on the face of the planet. Our agenda is to be treated like humans. And we have come a long way, but apparently some of the stuff I've been reading and listening to in the last month, things are going a little bit backwards on it. There have been more everything from physical gay bashing to people being discriminated against. Even stores that support pride, like Target, have been shamed into not having rainbow merchandise or something with that all. I say they're chicken shit. I mean, keep it in your stores. You're not going to lose that many customers. 80% of the population in North America, I just heard this statistic the other day, 80 to 85% have absolutely no problem with any of this. They have sort of a live and let live attitude. So it's that 15% out there that are the nut jobs. I mean, they're not the majority, they're the minority, but they're loud. They're very, very loud. But anyways, it's a happy time. People should have a good time and enjoy all these holidays right now. Pride, Canada Day, Independence Day, all of it. Party hardy. We need to. Okay, let's see what people saying here. Judy's here. Laurel is here. Jen is here. Barb says, straight people have a white flag. We surrender. Yeah. But there's nothing to surrender to. I know you're being funny and all that, but, for straight people, again, the extremists out there, it's like they're fearful of the competition. Oh, you gotta love the straight guys who like to put up I'm straight. If they they find out somebody in a party situation or something is gay. Okay, look, are you afraid I'm going to attack you, that I'm going to want you? Guess what? Couple of reasons that's wrong. One, I'm not interested. Two, you're ugly. So I don't want to go there. Yeah, no. Don't get off it. You're not all that in a bag of chips, okay? With it, but you hear that a lot.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was in a course in Toronto, and these two idiots were in my course sitting ahead of me. And every time they, in computer technology, there's something called a query. And so every time...
Did they giggle?
Yeah, they
giggle.
Of
course they giggled.
Right? And
14-year-old boys.
And then they went, one guy was talking about going to an ice cream shop that was in the gay district in downtown Toronto, and he said, "Oh, you gotta be careful when you go in there." I said to him, I said, "I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem. You're ugly."
Yeah. Like, get over
So,
yourself.
and then yeah, he was. Uh, they were just
Assholes.
idiots.
Assholes is what they were. But whatever. Teresa says, admit it, you're just getting too old to party.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, Teresa, actually, you are right. I remember back when we were much younger, like 20, 30 years ago, we'd go in for Pride, and oh my God, we drank so much that, I mean, there's no way I could do that ever again. I wouldn't want to. I mean, I have one glass of wine on Saturday night, and that's all I can handle. And a beer. I might have a second one off screen, but that's it. But in those days, oh, remember, we'd go to different places, and you'd go into every bar, you'd have a drink. And when we used to go in with Bill and Mark's, our friends there, they used to have a party, or there was somebody in their building having a party, and we all went up to that, and it was just booze city the whole weekend. It's a good thing we didn't smoke, because if we did, we'd go up in flames with it. Because of
flaming faggots.
Flaming faggots. Right. Billy's here. Hi, Billy. And KW says, we are with you too. We've been together since the 70s and watched all these changes, good and bad, and feel that our flag should be just the rainbow. Yeah, it's getting crazy. But of course, you know, this younger generation that's coming up, they have so much freedom. You know, they're so entitled. They don't know the history. They don't know that the reason they can do what they do now. Why are gay bars dying? Because the young people can go to any bar they want. They can dance with anybody they want to dance with. They can hold hands, kiss anybody in public they want to. They have all of this freedom. And they have it because of the generations that came before that fought for that. And they really need an education to understand that, because...
Yeah, and one problem with that is that's why I think Canada had a warning out when you went into certain other countries or areas in other countries that aren't as open about it, to be careful that you do not have demonstrative behavior and stuff like that. But they're so entitled here that they're allowed to do that, that they go to these other countries that are more conservative, and then they get beat up or something like that.
Or worse, they get thrown in a jail cell or something like that. And they're indignant about the whole thing because it's their right. No, it's not. Here in Canada, yes, you have protections. In the United States, depending on the state you're in, you have not the same protections we have in Canada, but you have protections. It depends on the
state, right?
Yeah, and that kind of thing. But you go to a Middle Eastern country, or Russia, or like lots of other countries in the world, you keep your mouth shut. You go to Egypt, they still kill people.
I mean, there's men kissing each other in the street, but they're like...
that's a custom.
That's a custom. But
they're also wearing skirts.
Not all the lips.
No,
but anyway,
yeah.
And but it is definitely frowned upon for men to do that.
But these young people think that they're entitled to this, and you know, no, you've got to watch it.
It's like I think it's also like the thing they have trans people can have a significant have their passport indicate that they're in that they're trans, right? And there are countries that won't let you in because of that.
No. Yeah, you got to be careful. Years ago, we had a couple of friends who were gay, of course, and they were going into the United States. And they got to the border, Niagara Falls, cross over, and what was it? How did that happen? The guy said to them, There was something.
I don't know. There was something. I don't recall exactly what it was saying, but they indicated that they were gay, and
And they did not get a warm reception from
no.
the
I mean,
customs guy.
yeah, there was that was a long time ago,
Yep. And they were completely indignant
yeah,
that, well, that's right. It says, you're going into a country, I said, that doesn't have this written into their human rights code. We do for that.
especially. I mean, now maybe it's a little more accepted,
Yeah.
but in those days, you
You kept your mouth shut.
It wasn't as accepted, right? I mean, I remember many years ago when I remember flying to Dallas when I was working in the early 80s, and I had to sign a card going to the US that said you weren't a sexual deviant.
Yeah. Like anybody's going to admit to that. Oh, yes, I'm a sexual deviant. We meet every other week.
And being gay was considered a sexual deviant.
Yes, I know. So. Well, it was also considered a mental, what do you call it? A mental.
Yeah, like I'm going to say, yeah, I am.
Yeah. But anyways, but these youngsters today, they don't understand what that means. I mean, they're coming out at a younger age, like 14, 13, 12. Hi, I'm gay. I'm bi. I'm non-binary. I'm transgender. Okay. But they're still a kid, kind of a thing. But,
I mean, I knew about my sexuality. I didn't really understand what it was, but I knew when I was 8.
I knew when I was 5 years old.
But I didn't really quite understand it at that point.
Yeah, but I didn't have a label for it. I didn't know what it was. But I remember, not going into details about stuff, but I just remember how I felt and I was very conscious of my feelings at that age.
And at that point in time, that was in in the 60s
in the 60s.
Whatever, I had enough information from what I've heard other people say at the time and parents and things that was a feeling I shouldn't be having.
Yeah, well, that was what the world was at that time. Men were men, women were women. You pick one and you're it. And pick the one that biologically corresponds to how you should feel. So, yeah, well, the youngsters, I admire the youngsters today. Like when we went over to Australia and saw my nephew and his partner, they're young. They're just 30.
Yeah.
And that kind, and I'm just looking at them and thinking, wow,
they're well adjusted.
Yeah,
they're happy in their situation,
and they haven't got a clue about the history.
No, but they it's nice that they didn't have to struggle like we did.
Yeah, and that's good. That's what we wanted. And when I say we, I mean my generation, our generation of gay people. So and my nephew came out to his parents years ago. And from what I gather, his parents at first were a little shocked, but they didn't disown them or anything like that. Well, my brother wouldn't. I knew that. But, and they are quite happy with it. Far cry from when I came out to my brother many, many years ago, my nephew's father, and that was before he was married and the whole bit. That didn't go over well. Not at all. And coming out to my parents did not go over well either.
And one of the reasons that our nephew moved to London, England, was that the area that Steve's brother lives in Abbotsford is actually a very fundamentalist religious type city. It has a lot of extreme religious groups, and he said he had to get out of there.
Yep. So he took off. He went to England, and now he's in Australia, and doing fine. I'm very proud of him. That
he's very well adjusted. He's a guy in his. He's been working for quite a while now, and he has a really good job, and they seem to like him at his job. So
yeah, he's got a great job. The guy that he's with, really nice guy, also has a really good job.
Yeah.
they've really got, if only that was us at that point in our lives. I mean, we had decent jobs, but there was so many barriers in our way. I mean, when I started teaching, there was no way that I could be out at that time, because that was grounds to be fired, no questions asked, because I'm working with children. You see, the automatic assumption was gays are pedophiles. No, we're not. And in fact,
and for me, not that I think I would have had a problem at work, but gay people tended to be not promoted as quickly.
yeah,
I saw people that were a little bit more flamboyant in my business that were in the office, and they were joked at, kidded, made fun of, and stuff like that, which shouldn't really happen.
no,
I mean, so I kept my mouth shut. I was quiet about it.
yeah. But, that's what we went through. My nephew didn't have to go through all of that, and I am very happy he didn't have to go through all of that. There's too many things happening in the world that you have to deal with at that age to start with. You don't need this on your plate to. Well, we're not martyrs for the cause, okay? But, there you go. So let's see. People are talking here. Teresa says, I lived right down for 1 year. I lived right downtown for 1 year in Toronto, I guess she means. Both the Pride and the Shriners parades were on Elm Street same summer. Both were huge crowds. Only one needed a major cleanup after. Yeah, the Shriners one did. Diana's here. Hi, Diana. It's hot in Texas, 98. Feels like it's 107. Well, you're cooking. Patsy says 4th of July is always celebrated on the day, so very much the same as we do. Okay. Billy says, Diana, I'm close to Dallas, 98 here too. Okay, everybody's getting hot. Joanne's here. Hi, Joanne. Carol's here. Yes, July the 4th is celebrated on July the 4th, no matter what day of the week it falls on. Several other holidays have been moved to Mondays. Okay. And Ned says, yes, Stephen, let's just be happy and celebrate a great country. Yep. National Indigenous Peoples Day was June the 21st. Yeah, how many people knew that?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know it until I saw it on something. Okay, so what are we supposed to do on National Indigenous Peoples Day?
Like, I mean, well, first of all, I think they should advertise it a little better.
Who created National Indigenous Peoples Day? It was that declaration from the Canadian government that that's the day it was going to be. We definitely did not get the day off, so it's not a statutory holiday. So, okay, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a National Indigenous Peoples Day, but why didn't we know about it? Now, you could say, well, that's because Indigenous people are put down. The government doesn't care. Big corporations don't care. And that would all be probably very true. But what did the Indigenous people do to advertise it? The government does not advertise the Pride Parade. That is all done by the organizers of the Pride Parade. That's how the word gets out there. Now, because it's been such a tradition now, it doesn't need a whole lot of advertising, because everybody knows it's the last Sunday here in our area, the last Sunday of June. It's been that way for many, 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 many years. So, it doesn't need it. But here we are. We're sitting here. I didn't know it was National Indigenous Day. New Quilting Life is here with Janice. Love your pride flag behind you. I would love to make one for my daughter. Well, it's a pattern you can buy, and I can't remember Russ from Quilt Meets World. He told me what it was. What's that?
He got you onto it.
He got me onto it, and so Russ is probably here. He can probably say what the store was. It was online. It's a digital download. It wasn't very expensive for the pattern. Diana Miller says, Billy, I'm in Keller. Okay. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Yeah, Billy, you're right. Everyone needs to move forward, not backwards. But it seems in the last few years that that's what the world has been doing, moving backwards. I mean, you just have to look at the state of the world. Look at the wars that are going on. Look at the politics and things like that. It is. It doesn't seem very progressive, which is kind of, if you think about it, we talked about AI one Sunday. That's probably not a good environment for AI to suddenly get its hooks into things. And when I say that, I mean the people who run AI on the whole bit. Because if we're moving backwards and they're doing something that's very forward thinking, there could be a gap, and that could cause problems in things. Before we know it, AI will be ruling us. Oh my God, visions of Terminator. Not that far-fetched. Teresa says, it just seems weird to say we have a king. He'll always be not so regal to me. Yeah, well, it's...
Well, so we grew up basically with a queen, right?
Yeah, we've never known in our whole life we've had a queen.
King, so I guess that it becomes foreign to us. So.
Yeah, and it'll take a while. And probably just when we get used to the fact that we have a king, he'll kick off, and we'll have another king go. So we'll get used to king, because we'll have King William, which I think he'll make a good monarch. But do we need a monarchy? Well, we've talked about that before. We don't. Sue says, are we in the U.S. free of the Brits? Harry and Meghan moved to Hollywood. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Well, that's because we wouldn't pay in Canada for their security team. So they went...
I don't think they have I don't think the U.S. pays for a security team. In fact, they were complaining to England that they wanted
more money
for security.
Oh, because we can't live on it.
Yeah, well, I don't think they should have it. They moved away. Who cares?
Yeah, they moved away. They gave up their royal duties.
Yeah, and yeah, you're probably more free of the Brits than Canada is. Canada tends to have a stronger connection to England than
they still haunt us.
And because even our parliamentary system is based on the British parliamentary system.
Yeah,
and
yours is different. You're a republic.
You have your own kind of government.
You have your own kind of hell. So, as we well know, I mean, yeah, who didn't watch the shit show that was called a presidential debate the other night? I mean, oh my God, there's fodder there.
I only watched it for one question, and that was enough.
There is fodder there for the late night television comedy hosts for the next year on that one. Yeah. Laura's here. Hi, Laura. Russ says religion is like a
penis.
Oh, okay. Had to fill in the letter. I'll buy a vowel. If it's nice that you like yours, but don't shove it in people's faces without consent. Russ, where do you come up with this stuff? Oh, I like that one. It's nice like yours, but you don't shove it in people's faces. Okay, I gotta remember that one. Elsa says, be proud of who you are. I do not concern myself with someone's sexuality. If you are a nice person, you can be in my world. If you are not, then bugger off. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't walk up to somebody and say, I'm gay.
No, it's not the first thing that comes out of our mouth. Hi, I'm gay. How are you? Oh, love your drapes.
Well, I don't think there's any reason why anybody should know that.
Well, no, they don't come up. Straight people don't come and go, hi, I'm straight.
Or hi, I'm bi.
I'm bi. The only ones that really come up with it to your face are the non-binaries. Hi, I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, it. Oh, no. Sorry, it's not it.
If somebody says they're polyamorous, I go, okay.
Oh, you love polygons? That's kinky. I don't know. Yeah, good for you. I mean, why do I need to know that? Too much information. I don't need to know that. Maybe as we progress and maybe we have a friendship or something, and that may be the time to tell the other person a little bit more about yourself. But let's just stick it right in their face, like what Russ said with religion. Same thing with being a member of the LGBT of the rainbow. I'm going to start using that. The rainbow community. I'm going to start a trend. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be a hashtag. Val's here. Hi, Val. My Target in my town has rainbow stuff, but not in its own section like previous years. Oh, okay. So they're just saying, oh, it's lovely decor. Everybody loves rainbow stuff, multiple colors. Joy says, hi, Stephen and Walter. She's here. Hi, Joy. Julie's here. Well, Julie, I'm glad you caught us live because it would be an awful mess if you caught us dead. I think there's a law against doing things to dead bodies. Kim is here. Hi, Kim. Joan's here. Julie says, I finally found a group I enjoy being part of. I enjoy Stephen and Stephanie sewing on Wednesday. First off, this is a great group of people that everyone in themselves is themselves and kind. Yes, it is a great group. It's very supportive. No one should be afraid to join us. It's just fun. I look forward to it every week. Joan says, hi, Steve Walter, and all in the chat. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Oh, Sean's here. Hi, Sean. Good afternoon, Stephen and Walter. Happy early Canada Day. Thanks, Sean. Oh, okay. Let's talk about my shirt. This is my newest shirt, Walter's latest creation, and this is very special because it has actually, I can show you some close-up pictures of it. We did show it on our So Chatty. And we have got the best model for this. I mean, you're sexy and you know it.
It's Grumpy Cat.
Grumpy Cat wears shirt. This is, let me go with this one. This one's a little better. Look at that. What a sexy pose. Oh my goodness. I'm on the runway. I'm so sexy. I'm too sexy for my cat. Don't have it. So Walter's shirt that he made me, Philippa. Everybody knows Philippa. We visited her in her home in Brisbane, Australia, and she presented us with this fabric. And she was definitely thinking we could make a shirt out of it at the time, and I love it. I love the fabric. I wish I had more of that fabric.
Yeah. Well,
really.
I have some leftovers.
Oh, do you? I can make leftovers. But Walter did a great job on the shirt. One little thing he forgot.
Actually, one button's missing at the bottom.
At the very bottom, but that's okay. I never do up that button. So, yeah. And I have lost a little weight. Thank you for asking. I'm on Walter's diet. You know, pre-diabetic diet kind of thing. But anyways, yeah, I love this shirt. He is making me another one, but not out of Australia.
Trouble with the sleeve on that one.
No.
Yeah, somebody said do a demonstration. I can show you what not to do with the sleeve.
Yeah, people have asked Walter to do tutorials on So Chatty. We're looking for another series that we can do, and one of the suggestions was, and we've had this suggestion many times. Oops, I'll put this over here. Suggestion for many times is for Walter to do how to make a shirt. He won't do that because it's, well, what? It's too involved for one thing.
Yeah, well, it'd be several.
And there are tutorials on that kind of thing on YouTube already and whatnot. And he's just not into teaching something like that.
Yeah, like, I mean, I do some things to the shirt that isn't, that's different than what the pattern tells you to do. So, because I take a shortcut. So,
anyways, that's why I won't do it. So, but we are looking for something we can make into a series, and I've had several suggestions already, and I'm looking at those as potential. And even if we can't do maybe one initially from the suggestion you give, your suggestions help me to think outside of the box.
I mean, I won't say never to do the shirt, but right now it's not really something that I'm thinking about a great deal. So
now we did have a request for you to show how you do buttons.
Yeah, well, buttons aren't that hard.
Well, no, but I think that's a manageable.
Actually,
not as a series,
hard,
but
they're just time consuming.
Yeah, I've done buttons and buttonholes, not in a shirt, but you know, with your sewing machine.
But see, I have a sewing machine that has a buttonholer, and I don't manually sew the buttons. If you had an old sewing machine, you would have to manually.
Yeah, you'd have to manually do it.
Create a buttonhole, but on the newer machines, especially the one I have, it's a breeze. I have a buttonholer, and it matches. It puts the hole in, or it creates the
slit.
the
Like
slit.
you have to cut it open.
Yeah,
The slit,
it
but that's
creates
easy.
the sewing around the buttonhole. And I know I have, like, I mean, when I was taking the class for shirts, there was one person in our class that did not get it on how to do it to do the buttonholes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And she struggled with it, and it's not hard.
No.
It just takes a little bit of practice. But with her problem was, everybody, I said to her, practice on a spare piece of fabric first, and once you get comfortable with it, then do it on the shirt. Because once you do a buttonhole on a shirt, and you make a mistake, they're not easy to pick out.
Yeah.
But anyway, this woman was impatient, and she would not practice on a square piece of fabric. And so, because she didn't, her buttonholes didn't come out right.
No, you should really practice when it's something brand new to you with it. But anyways, as I said, we are looking for suggestions for something we can develop into a series, which means multiple parts over that. Because I think doing those series like we just did with Walter Does Lucey, and there's one more part to that coming up at the end of this week coming, it really helps us in our planning for So Chatty. You know, and it's also something that I think it gives you something of more substantial to watch. You know, because So Chatty lends itself to being a little bit more, at least my design for So Chatty, our design for So Chatty is that it's both, you know, little tidbits of information we've gleaned over a week, but also borderline tutorial kind of a thing where we can help you out with something that you feel that we know about. We don't know everything. Oh, there goes that. Okay. Gotta watch how you point your fingers. Angel's here. Hi, Angel. Marilyn says, both of your shirts are stunning. Good job, Walter. Yes, of course, this one's one of Walter's too. I only wear exclusively Walter shirts. If anybody asks me, I go, oh, it's a Walter. Oh, does he have a store? No, he's exclusive. By appointment only.
It's custom made.
Custom made, and I don't think you can afford them. And I said that, I always say that to somebody when they ask and laugh. And then, but one said, well, how much? That was when we were at that quilt thing at, down in Brighton. And I said, well, this shirt's probably about $120 if you bought it in the store. Oh, well, I'd pay that. Did I say 120? I meant 320. Like, give it up.
No.
He won't do it. I told her that. He won't do it.
You would have to, like, no, just not.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up here. Everybody says a great job. Joan says the shirt looks great. It looks like you have lost a little weight. Great. Joan's now my favorite person. Okay. Brenda says very nice shirt with perfect pockets. High praise from Brenda. Okay. Yes, they are perfect pockets. Did you notice I do have a pocket, but you can't see it, can you? Because Walter matches them up.
My pocket. I have a pocket here, dude.
But I have to have a pocket for my glasses. All my shirts have to have a pocket.
Yeah, pockets are a little bit time consuming, especially when you match the fabric.
Yeah, I guess, and especially this fabric would be tricky.
No, actually, that's easy.
Because it's very busy.
Yeah, but it's easy.
I guess more points.
Fairly easy.
Fairly easy. Okay, so Joan says, I have to agree with Walter. Shirts are not easy to make. I used to sew my clothes and found shirts hard to do. And it says, yes, a serger lesson would be great. Okay. That is something. We both have sergers. Walter's more of an expert on a serger than I am because I've used my serger very
well.
limited.
You used it to make napkins.
Yes.
I just used it to sew seams on my shirt. Yeah, see, these shirts have something, or the actual shirts, the first ones I made, have something called a flat felt seam on the sides, right? However, I don't do those on these shirts because they're our own personal shirts. They don't have to look quite as perfect on the inside than my other shirts. Then, like if you look at a commercial shirt and look a man's shirt, you'll notice the seams are kind of the same as the outside, and they're called flat felt seam, and they're fiddly to do. So I don't do them, but instead I do something called a full flat felt seam on the inside. So it just means I sew the fabric together and then I serge them, and then I top stitch down the seam on the inside, and that's called a full flat felt seam, and that's what I do.
Well, actually, the serger idea isn't a bad idea because I get the feeling that people are afraid of sergers. And I surprisingly, a lot of people I have found don't know what a serger is. So, I mean, we could do something showing very basic what you can do with a serger. Like, I use my serger when I'm making napkins. I know there are people out there who actually do quilts using a serger. Not my cup of tea. I sort of tried a little small piece. I didn't like
I can't
doing
really
that.
see that a serger would be beneficial
No.
to do the quilt. I mean, I do it on these shirts. These aren't, a lot of people, sergers are really good if you're making something from stretchy material, because your stitches will stretch on a serger. And that is nice. So like if you're making a t-shirt, or if you're making, which I don't make a lot of, a t-shirt or a hoodie or something like that, sergers are great for that.
Yeah. Now, Melissa says, I know Walter doesn't want to make a shirt on camera. How about bag making series?
I'd rather do a shirt.
Why? Bag is easy.
Well, yeah, I make a pretty involved bag though. That might, but
Well, you embroider on it, and you do. Well, that would be something that I think that a basic bag is nothing to do thing, but to show how you make one of your bags, you could do it. We could do it together, and you could teach me.
But I'd have to charge.
Yeah. Well, you know, my milkshake brings. Whatever, but that's a possibility. Maybe as we could think of a spin on that. So yeah, that's what I mean. I like the suggestions. They give me more ideas to think about.
Yeah, we could do that.
Maybe
as a start.
And as says, threading the serger is always a headache. Yes, it is. And
it also depends on what kind of serger you have.
Yeah, I have an air thread serger, which is a breeze to thread, because basically it sucks the thread into the lower and the upper looper and spits them out, and then it has a automatic it has a needle threader built onto it that will thread each of your needles. The old serger that was Walter's sister, which was ancient, and the one that I first worked on, oh my god, threading it was a horror.
If you have an old serger, the lower looper can be very, very difficult to thread, and but the newer modern sergers that you get, even if you don't get an air threader, the lower loopers are usually much easier to thread than.
Well, I think they'll pull out a little bit so you can get at them.
Yeah, like I have a cover stitch machine, and it has a lower looper. It doesn't have an upper looper. A cover stitch machine has a lower looper and no upper looper, but it has a couple of needles, 2 or 3 needles, right? And the lower looper actually pulls out, and it's very easy to thread. And I think the new sergers have lower loopers that are easier to thread.
Yeah, but the air thread is nice. I will say that. But yeah, actually, probably a lot of people don't know what a cover stitch machine is either. So, I mean, maybe we could develop something that runs over a couple of weeks with both machines. I have never used the cover stitch machine. I don't need to. But cover stitch machine is pretty much exclusively for people who do garment sewing, I think. Because it's meant for hemming.
Well, it's actually meant for stretchy material.
Oh, yeah?
Right? But, I mean, these aren't stretchy material, but I still do a cover stitch on these. But they are more geared for stretchy material.
See, well, there's something I didn't know that. And
commercially made shirts especially t-shirts have cover stitch stitching on them. You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell a cover stitch because like I have two, it's hard to see here, two lines of thread here, right? It's a cover stitch. And on the inside, you see this weave looking stitch. And that is what a cover stitch does. I'm not sure if I did it on that shirt or not. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did on that.
Yeah. So that might be a possibility. Serger and cover stitch machines, and talk a little bit about them, how we use them. Like I said, I don't use my serger very often, and it's usually when I'm trying to make napkins, that kind of thing. So yeah, and I have used it on placemats and table runners in the past as well. But for a rolled, what they call a rolled hem. But we might be able to develop something in that line as well. Judy says buttonholes would be nice to see done.
Okay, now, like I said, the machine that I have does an automatic, an automatic button. I still have to line it up.
In other words, Walter's not going to do it manually. It'll be done by the computer component in the sewing machine, which makes it really easy. If you're looking,
like I mean, if you'd have to, like I have a Janome 6700P machine, and all the Janomes work pretty much the same, the way the buttonhole is done. And I imagine that other manufacturers have a similar system, right? But they may not be the same as what I do. Like I don't know what Bernina does on how they do their buttonholes.
So that would be the limitation on that. Yes, we can show you how to do, Walter can show you how to do a buttonhole, but it would be based upon how the Janome does it. And it's done like how the automatic system, how to set that up.
Because I have a foot that comes with the Janome, which is the buttonhole or foot, and you put your button into it, and it sizes the size of the buttonhole based on the size of the button you have. So it's kind of automatic.
Yeah.
You just all you have to do is line it up and push the button to go, and it sews you a buttonhole.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, well, that's definitely, it seems there's interest in that. Maybe we can develop something in that line. So thank you for the suggestion.
Well, Glenna Miller says she had 6600P. I would like to see how you make buttonholes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's Walters is a 6700P, and they're almost the same machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Will be on the list. Billy says, I have a commercial 5-thread serger. My husband could thread with his eyes closed. Me, it takes forever. Yep. They're tricky machines. Now, Patsy asks, have you made a quilt using your serger? No. And I did try to just with a couple of strips of fabric. I watched, there's lots of videos about how to do it. And to be honest, it just did not appeal to me on the little piece that I tried. I know that you can do something like, well, the big problem I have with doing it on a serger is trying to do a 1/4-inch seam allowance. That's not easy on my serger anyways. Now, I don't know if you can get a foot with a guide built onto it like you can with your sewing machine, because there are markings on the serger. And I know how to keep my fabric relatively straight on small pieces, but if you're doing a long piece or whatever, and there's a lot of thread, and then there's something they do where they do a certain stitch on the serger and then they pop the seam and you can see the thread, and it's supposedly a decorative element. I saw that on Bernina has a new serger out, and they did a whole YouTube video about it. It was a commercial primarily about it, and they were trying to sell this machine to quilters. They were showing like how to do a quilt on it, and they've got a pattern for that, and applique and all this stuff. And it seemed to me that they were just trying to make a machine, sell it to people with the idea that this was going to make your life easier and quicker for making a quilt. And I don't believe it does.
I would think that that your seams anyway would be bulky, because the thread serger goes through a lot of thread.
Well, there's
Well,
different.
that's the other thing.
Yeah.
You would end up going through a ton of thread.
Yeah. But there's different ways you can set up the serger to use less thread
Yeah.
when you're doing it. But I don't know. I really don't know if it's worth it myself. I probably am not going to explore that any further, mainly because my heart's not in it. I don't care. I guess. So that's the problem. So Glenn actually has a 6700P, she says.
Yeah. New quilting life, which I don't understand this comment.
Where?
I would love to see the difference in both machines.
Well, I think he means the cover stitch and the serger.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what we were talking about before.
Okay, I thought you meant between
I don't think
holes in different machines.
No, I don't think that's what she meant. You can correct us, Janice, on this if we're wrong, but I think she meant between the cover machine and the cover stitch and the serger.
Sergers that you can buy that are called convertible machines, and they will convert from a serger to a cover stitch machine. But the dealer I go to suggested that they don't. She didn't recommend getting one of those because in the case of Janome ones that they had, you had to pay a lot more to get the convertible machine, and the actual conversion from one to the other was a nuisance, supposedly.
Yeah, well, Bernina has one too. I think I think that new machine that they have also does that as well. So I don't know. They didn't really, in what I saw, they didn't really explain that in detail. How you convert over.
On cover stitch machines, you may also have noticed on some athletic clothing that you buy in, let's say, sportswear store that will have like a sleeve that has like a type of stitch, a stretch stitch on the sleeve on the outside. It's where the cover stitch sleeve, it's sort of decorative on the outside. It has that interlacing on the outside. That's done by a cover stitch.
Well, we need to think about doing a series on this because there's a lot more here. I don't know this stuff about the cover machine. I've never had my hands on it. Cover stitch machine. Inez says, I have to say thank you to you both for sharing your knowledge. Well, you're welcome, Inez. But remember, what we share in our knowledge is stuff we have learned along the way. Okay.
Yeah, and my knowledge of the cover stitch machine is pretty limited because I don't sew a lot of stretchy stuff.
Patsy says the seams are on the outside, meaning that I think she means when you make the quilt. Are they? I'm trying to think how that would look. I guess. I don't know. I'd have to experiment with it more. And as I said, not that interested. Diana says the baby lock ovation can switch to cover stitch. I really like that feature. Okay. And Bonnie says sergers are great for pajama pants, kids' clothes, and finishing seams. Oh yeah, I took a course when I first got my serger, and that at Ultimate Sewing, and I took a thing where I made pajama pants. I hate them, and I made a sweatshirt too, and I made an infinity scarf. Like, I could tell I was the only guy in the thing. None of those projects I was impressed with. It showed me how to use my serger for other things, but I couldn't tell you how I did it now because I don't remember with it because I don't garment sew. So yeah, I'm always kind of looking at ways.
Sergers are more for garment sewers than. Sorry to cut you off.
Yes, you did.
Sergers are more for garment sewers.
Still doing it.
Than for somebody that quilts. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Nice of you. And now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you were saying that you don't do garments.
There's other things though you can do with a serger. You can make ribbon with a serger. Out of scraps of fabric. And I don't know if I think I did show that on an Idiot Quilter about a year and a half ago or something, in around Christmas time, making things. So actually, I just thought of some of the things that I have done with the serger before that might be interesting to show. Again.
Napkins.
Well, yeah, I said napkins.
Okay.
Where were you? I've said the word napkins about 12 times today. Well, that's why, because you were busy interrupting me, so you didn't hear that. That's how that worked. Yeah, right. But anyways, yeah, well, we're going to work on that. Yeah, I'm seeing here some potential for things. Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, we've talked a lot about sewing today. There's other things. Oh, what's Teresa says, I would love a cover stitch machine, but yeah.
Mine's pretty basic.
And Carol says, I'd love to see how you do corners of napkins when you use the serger. Okay. I can show that. Basically, you cut them off. You go zip down one side, turn the napkin, zip down that side, and when you do that, you kind of cut off the excess on the corner around. At least that's how I do it. But yeah, we'll show you. I'll show you how it works out with that. Okay, so let's move on. I did have a few things to show you. But I'm going to save those for the Idiot Quilter this week. I think then you can see those there. I do want to just announcements. Okay, Sewing with Stephanie and Steven. That's on Wednesday. And okay, speaking of Stephanie, I had a secret. Okay, and the ones that were on Sewing with Stephanie and Steven know what the secret was. We have been saying that we were going to go in the middle of July out to Western Canada or Western Ontario in the London region, if you're familiar, out there to do fabric shopping, quilt shopping. We have done this for a few years in a row, except we were not during COVID. And it usually falls in around my birthday. And I go out and I drop a bundle. And you've seen some of the hauls. And when I say drop a bundle, I'm talking a couple of $1,000s on fabric. And I enjoy that. And so don't shame me. I like it. I want it. I buy it. I budget for it. So that's what we were telling people, especially Stephanie, that we were going to do that. And I asked Stephanie if it would be all right if she just looked after Sewing with Stephanie and Steven on her own on the 24th of July, because we would be off doing this. And she said, sure, no problem. The secret is this. We weren't going to Western Ontario to do shopping. We're going to Ohio. We're going to Berlin, Ohio, which is where Stephanie's spring retreat next year that I'm teaching at is located. And we are staying at the same hotel, checking it out, that I'm doing the teaching in, that will be there for the retreat. But Berlin is only about an hour and a half away from where Stephanie lives. And we were going to do some shopping. It's Amish country down there, and there's lots of quilt stores now. We're going to do a couple of days of shopping in that. And then we had a hotel already booked, and we have our hotels already booked for Berlin and for where Stephanie lives. And I was going to go on to the Sew Day with my phone and make sure that my phone did not give away where we were, so Stephanie wouldn't recognize any of the landscape. We'd do it probably from the car. That was the plan. And we'd say, yeah, we're out in the sticks right now. We're going off to a quilt store that we heard about but never been to before, blah, blah, blah. All the time being on her street. And the idea was that I was going to go up to her door, ring the doorbell, and like I would cut off the video beforehand or go out, say, oh yeah, here we're at the quilt store. I'll come back on in a few minutes and surprise her and surprise everybody else that was on the live or on the Sew Day. That's not happening now. And I am disappointed about that, but we'll get over it. We're still going to go to Berlin. We're still going to go to Stephanie's and see Stephanie and everything like that. That's great. But Stephanie said to me, and I knew this was going to happen. I just had a feeling. Stephanie says, would it be all right with you if I just canceled that Sew Day, she says, because her husband was off that day or something, and they were thinking about going off to, there's some islands that she's told me about out in Lake Erie, because she's very close to Lake Erie, and that they were going to go for the day. And I went, shit. I had to tell her. Well, and I just told her everything I just told you and said, well, we'll still see you, but it's not going to be a surprise anymore. Well, that's not completely true. I do have a surprise, but I'm not going to say anything about that. But you know how hard it is for me to keep a secret. And I was keeping this really well. And then like that, and I thought this was going to be hilarious. Well, best laid plans of mice and men.
Maybe she figured that there was something up.
Well, maybe, but who knows with it. But anyways, it's still going to be fun and the whole bit. It's just not going to have the shock appeal that I was hoping for. But anyways, so yeah, that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Pop-up Sew Day. Great. We had about, I think at the height of it, we had about 35 people there on Saturday. And yeah, everybody seemed to have had a good time. People were getting things done. We saw lots of wonderful creations, as we always do, and had good conversation. We video bombed Russ's Lebanese. I just tuned into it and broadcast it through the, because this is a Zoom. Pop-up Sew Day, for anybody who doesn't know, is a Zoom. It's not a YouTube Live. And so I just went on to YouTube and did screen share. And we listened to Russ for a while and watched his show. So he had an extra audience of people there. Although there were a few people on the Sew Day that were double dipping on there too, which is fine. So I'm having another Sew Day in 2 weeks' time. July the 13th, Saturday, July the 13th, there will be an announcement about it to the mailing list people. And it will be on, not this week, but the week after. The link will be in the show notes for all my videos. And why are we having it? Because it's my birthday. We're having Steven's birthday bash. We did this last year. We're doing it this year. My birthday technically is on the Sunday, but the bash will be on, which is the 14th, Bastille Day, for those of you that are history minded. But the 13th will be the day of the bash. And it's going to be a special day. Because it's my birthday, you have to have presents on your birthday, but with a twist. I'm giving you presents. Well, I'm going to have some prize draws. Sort of like what I do, only not as many, that I do on my spring and fall retreats. So there'll be prizes. You could win a prize. In fact, I'll tell you what the prize is going to be. It's going to be an Amazon gift certificate because that's the easiest way to get something to you. So anyways, that's July the 13th. More information to come.
Stephanie says, at least you'll know that she'll be dressed.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and your teeth will be in.
Well, that's good. Oh, yeah. Teeth in and she'll be dressed. That's good. Inside joke. That one. So this past week on So Chatty, we had Walter Does Lucey, part 4. We have one more part left to go. Apparently, it's a comedy show. People are telling me they think it's hilarious. Wasn't our intent, but whatever. If you like it, you like it. So that's all that matters. Some other news in and about. So, let's talk stupid government. Our government here in Ontario. We used to have to pay for our license plate sticker renewal every year, or sometimes you paid for 2 years, and you had this, and that's how we did it here. Okay. And I don't think this is unusual for any other spots in Canada or in
other parts of
the world or the United States or whatever. But the infinite wisdom of our premier, he decided to win votes. We no longer have to pay for a license plate renewal sticker. It is free, but they want us to register it online. It's free.
Yeah, like they still say, you still have to renew your license.
Yep.
But you don't have to pay for it.
You don't have to pay for it. This is your license plate, not your driver's license. Right? Your license plate.
They're still saying every year, and you always had to do it on your birthday, right? So every year, you would do this before your birthday so that you could, you get your new sticker and you put it on your car. But now you don't have to get charged for it. Now you don't need a sticker anymore.
No.
Right? So, but they still said that you had to renew it. And so what was happening was people, because you didn't have to pay for it, weren't bothering to renew it.
And you renew it online.
Yeah, you renew it online. So if a police officer stopped your car or something like that, it would register that you hadn't renewed your license, and
they'd fine you.
They would fine you because you haven't renewed your license, right? But a lot of people were complaining that, well, we don't have to pay for it, so why do we have to renew it, right? So anyway, so now what are they doing? They're automatically renewing your license.
As of tomorrow. You don't have to go online to do it. It'll just automatically be done. Well, I don't trust the Ontario government to get anything that involves technology done. So I realized, oh, I have not renewed my driver's license. And as Walter said, it comes due on your birthday. So I better get on with it. So I went online to see what would happen.
Let's get back.
Okay, we're just skipping an ad that's trying to come up here when I find my cursor. There we go. So I went online the other day, and it gives me 3 pages of information about this, what you needed, all this, but not a thing that said you didn't need to bother to do it. It would be automatic. So I'm thinking, okay, let's do this. I get all my information out. I start to fill in the form. They want to know everything about you that nobody else knows about you, and fill that all in. And I get down to the bottom of it. I click on the button to continue, which is supposed to, process it all and whatnot, and nothing happens. And I'm thinking, what's wrong? Went way back up to the top of the screen. Apparently, I had not put something in that I was supposed to put in. I can't remember what it was. So I fixed that mistake up, went to the bottom of the page, hit continue, still wouldn't do anything. And then there was another problem. So I fixed that up. Finally, it takes me to a page that says, we cannot renew your license at this time. Sorry for the inconvenience. Try again.
Yeah, not only that, they had it still set up under the old system that said, do you want to renew your license for 1 year?
Or
$0. Or 2 years?
$0. So I figured, okay, it's supposed to be automatic. I'm not supposed to have to do anything as of tomorrow. My thing doesn't come due for 2 weeks from that. So, c'est la vie. Let it happen. Whatever. That's what they told us. That's what I'm doing.
So KDW.
KW.
Thank you for being on YouTube. You are such wonderful people. We are shy about being on camera, but would love to be at your birthday bash.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that the birthday bash is a Zoom and not a YouTube. And it's not broadcast.
It's not broadcast. It's not recorded. It's not a YouTube live. It's just a Zoom. So it has a private link. So you don't have to worry about being on camera. The thing is, though, this. I do ask that you have your camera turned on. That is a security feature for me. Just to make sure, because I have had it happen in the past, although I have enough safeguards built in that it hasn't happened again. But I have had some undesirables crash in on the day. That hasn't happened in quite a long time because I was naive when I first set it up, didn't know about these things, didn't think that would happen, but it did. But now I have it all in there. But I do ask that people are on camera.
Yeah, so basically it ends up being like as if you were in an in-person retreat and you're in a big room.
Yeah.
Right. So people all see each other and stuff like that, and they can interact with each other. But that particular day is not rebroadcast or anything like that. So it's not like it'll end up on YouTube and people can see you and stuff like that.
It's not recorded, nothing. It's it. When it's over, it's over. It doesn't come back to haunt you or anything like that. So you're more than welcome to be part of it. And as I said, if you want to be on my mailing list, if you go into my show notes, you'll find out how to get my email address, and you can send a direct message to me that way. You do not put it in the comment section that you want to be on my mailing list, because I need your email address, and I don't think you want to publicly broadcast your email address in a comment section of YouTube. Okay, because that just kind of lends itself to the hackers, the scammers out there to, get some of your information, and away they go. We know how that works, right? So you can just send me directly, or if you don't want to be on the mailing list, that's okay too, because I put the link in everything that I produce the week before the actual event. So it'll be easy for you to connect in. Brenda's going. Bye, Brenda. See you Wednesday. Stephanie says, Stephen number 2. I don't understand what Stephanie means. Stephen number 2.
Or just me being Stephen number. I mean, because I said to have her teeth in.
Oh, okay. Karen says, Stephanie, that was a thought of 2. Never been to a retreat. Thank you for the reassurance. Let's party. Yep, they're fun. They're fun.
People are shy sometimes to get on them, but
once they're there,
like we had a lady,
they're hooked.
That we talked to we ran into a quilt shop, and she said, "Oh, I love your show, but I've been tempted to come to a Zoom, but I don't know. I'm really shy."
Now she's
a regular.
She's a regular on the pop-up sew day. She's a regular on Stephanie and Stephen sewing on Wednesdays. So yeah,
like the Stephanie and Stephen sew day on Wednesdays is also a Zoom, and it's not
recorded, it's not rebroadcast. And the link for it is always in my show notes, because we do it every Wednesday, and you can come and go as you please.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there right when we open it up. You don't have to stay to the bitter end. If you can only be there for an hour or two, that's just fine. Whatever. Pop-up sew days are like that too. It's come and go.
And they're all Zooms, and they're not rebroadcast.
Yeah, okay. We've said that now 12 times.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I think they get the point.
Yeah.
So some other things going on in our province. We have a science center in Toronto. It's been there for 55 years. It is very, very popular. It's especially great for school groups because they take the kids there all the time. It's educational.
They have kids programs.
They have kids programs. They have all kinds of programs all the time. It's an institution, and it's closed because the Ontario government have been trying to they want to move the science center to an area of Toronto that isn't quite as accessible for the schools and for the kids, onto something we used to call Ontario Place, which was a sort of a touristy trap for many years. Well, they're redeveloping it because they're going to make it into a spa and some other things. And the land that the Sciences Center, the existing one, sits on is prime real estate. And Doug Ford, our premier, wants to sell it to his buddies, and half of his cabinet are all investing in this so they can build more condominiums. And the site for the new science center is smaller. The science center would be smaller, harder to get to. And basically, he's doing a smoke and mirrors because I don't even think the science center would be built because he's an asshole with this. Well, this past Friday, was it?
It was it's
or
like a week ago.
A week ago, this past Friday. Suddenly, workmen were at the science center putting a fence around it and closing it down. Reason being is they had an engineer's report that said the roof needed some major repairs. But in the report, it said it wasn't really a safety problem at the moment. It may present a problem in the middle of the winter if a lot of snow accumulated on one part of it. And it could be repaired. They could shut down a small piece of the science center without shutting the whole place completely down to repair it. And it would cost probably, over time, about $40 million to repair it. Well, he says it's condemned. And all the people that were working there, they have something like 150 or was it 250 employees and everything. They have a full slate of summer programs for the kids. They always do in the summer. All of that gone out the window. People are pissed off and they're protesting. In fact, several of the counselors actually from the Toronto City Council have actually gone in there, voiced their concerns about it, and one was in there taking down a section of the fence. It was a symbolic gesture, but nevertheless.
And the original company that built the Science Center has offered to repair the section of roof that is
at their expense. Yeah. So, this is just how our politics in our province are working under Doug Ford. He is an asshole. He needs to be removed. He is Trump North, basically, with him. So that's been thrilling. Trudeau, they haven't done it yet, but there was a by-election in Toronto in a riding that has been a liberal Trudeau is liberal. And there was a by-election because the MP for that riding resigned for whatever reason. And so they had to fill her shoes. And they had a by-election, and they expected a liberal to win because it's been a liberal stronghold for 30 years. And it is one of those areas that they look at as a gauge to how well the federal government is doing the party that's in power. And they lost it to the conservatives, not by much, by about 600 votes. And of course, the turnout for the voting was not that great either. But now, critics are saying that there's going to be possibly demands for Trudeau to stand down from being leader of his party. And if he does that, that would put us into a federal election at some time down the road. I don't think Trudeau will resign, but who knows? He's done some stupid things lately. So this is interesting times right now in our country. Of course, we're overshadowed by what's going on in the States with their election, okay? Because we're wondering what old man's going to get in for power, whatever. But anyways, so yeah, we talked about the Pride Parade and the 4th of July, and that's it for today. So we're over our time too.
Yeah.
Anyways, with it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed today's episode of it. It's always nice to talk to you and have your input, and just look here quickly to see if there's anything we've missed. Yeah, nope, we're good. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. For my Canadian subscribers, enjoy the long weekend. For us, every weekend's a long weekend when you're retired. And to our American subscribers, enjoy your 4th of July and your celebrations that you're having, and have fun, because it's summer.
Yeah,
and that's what we should do.
Happy Canada Day to all the rest of the Canadians.
And to anybody that is of the gay persuasion, happy Pride.